Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Classic Automated Services. So we've now been open a week and we've had a very nice, pleasant week, to be honest with you. Had lots of inquiries, we've got quite a bit of work booked in already, and it's been really enjoyable actually doing this. I've wanted to do it for a long time and really enjoyed it. But we'll show you around what we've been doing this week, and then talk about some of the stuff we've got hopefully got coming in as well. So, but first of all, we've got this Wolseley 1885 automatic. So it's come all the way down from North Yorkshire for us to do it. It's actually booked in for a show in 5 weeks' time. Well, 4.5 weeks' time now. So we've got our work cut out with it. It's actually very sound and very original, other than it's had a pair of fiberglass wings put on it at some point in its life. Probably looking at the state of them, probably 30 years ago at least, because the paint that was on them was actually faded to the same extent as the rest of the vehicle was. So they're not a recent thing, and they also fit incredibly well, whereas most fiberglass panels don't. Once they're painted, it's going to be very hard to tell that they are fiberglass unless you lift the bonnet and see where they're bolted on. So we are going to be leaving them on the car, because I also don't think new steel wings are available for these at the moment. But it arrived on Monday, so on Tuesday we set about it and we've got it fully stripped down. We're not taking the screens out, as we're not sure if we can get rubbers for it at the moment. So we're leaving the screens in. But we've got the car completely stripped down, all the trim, bright work, lights, everything off of it. We've stripped the seals back to bare metal, as they were quite scabby. They weren't rotten in any way, they were just quite heavily corroded and scabby. Same with the back arches, and the same with the little front under tray on the front panel. We've stripped that back to bare metal as well. The rest of it, most of the car is 99% original paint. It's had a few little blow-ins here and there. What do you expect when the car is well over 50 years old? But it is 99% original paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over what's there, as there's no horror stories or anything underneath it. We've sanded it all down, done all the dings and dents and filler work. Anywhere there was where some fairly heavy corrosion has been rust treated, and it's actually nearly ready for primer. So the last step I've got to do on it is key up all the door shuts, as we're going to paint all inside the door shuts as well. So I've got a few little scabby areas in the door shuts to clean up, key the rest of the door shut up, and then it's ready to be masked and primed. So we'll give a little bit of a walk around on it, because I know the owner is looking forward to seeing it on the channel. So under the bonnet we've got a nice little 1800 B series engine. May look like a Mini, but it is actually a B series engine, but it is the same sort of setup as a Mini. Got the gearbox as the sump and transversely mounted in front of the car, so it's quite a nice little compact unit. It's looking a bit sorry for its age now, got a bit of scabby paint and that on it, but we're not actually doing under the bonnet at the moment, we're just getting the car so it looks nice. So we did strip the front pan down to bare metal, as it had some quite nasty corrosion on it. But again, it wasn't rotten, surprisingly. It's just a bit rust here and there. It has got the fiberglass wings on it. In places the gel coat had started cracking, so we've dug that out, and then back to the actual fiberglass, and then we've just re-feathered it in, so that'll sort that out. So again, the seals, we'll strip them back to bare metal. There's quite a few dings and dents in the seals. Maybe people getting in and out of it over the years, kicking them and messing them up, but that's what it is. So they've all been done. Back arches have all been stripped back to bare metal. Again, it had a few little dings and dents and that on them. Also around the petrol filler, we had some dings and dents, I assume, where people have been putting petrol in it, clanking the bodywork with a pump. So all the rear seams have been dug back out because they were starting to get some bubbly sort of rust and corrosion in there, so they've been dug out with the wire wheel. After it's primed, everything will be re-seam sealed, so these seams, the seal seams, front wings, everything be all fully seam sealed after it's primed. So the reason I do that is, one, the seam sealers are actually paint over. They're designed to go over primer as well as bare metal, so you can just paint straight over them. And two, you get primer into the seam where you've cleaned it out back to bare metal. You then get primer in there to stop any moisture and corrosion corroding it. You can then seam seal it and then paint over the top, so it's well protected. So got the boot shut to key up as well. Again, a little bit of flaky paint there to rub down. Had a nice dent in the rear panel, which we've sorted out. Below the bumper line, as it's all hidden behind the bumper, below here we are going to re-stone chip. So we've got to clean it down and re-stone chip all the back valance, and we're going to stone chip the seals as well. So it's something that the customer wants to use. It's not ever going to be a show car, although it is booked in for a show because the customer likes taking it to shows. It's not going to be a concourse show winning car. It's just going to be a very nice example that he can take to shows and use. As he wants to use it, we're going to protect it well with modern products so it lasts. So yeah, the car is very nearly ready for priming. A couple more hours on it and it will be ready for priming. The interior isn't the original interior. It's just got some donor seats in there at the moment, so it can be used and moved around as the customer is actually getting the original seats sorted out for it. So that's why the interior looks so bad, as there's no carpet in there and it's got some donor seats in it. Dashboard is actually in fairly good condition, other than the modern CD player. Probably could do with a period one putting in there, but different people have different tastes. But yeah, she's actually a very nice solid little car, and hopefully by the end of Monday the body shell will be primed along with the bonnet and the boot, because they're ready to go as well. That'll then just leave me the doors to prep up, get them primed. So probably, fingers crossed, the week after next we'll have some colour back on it, and then we have to start flat polishing it and get it all reassembled, get all the parts cleaned up, put back on it, and off it will go. We've also, as promised, got a Triumph Stag in. So we did say to people on the channel who have been leaving comments, when you're going to get a Stag in, well, we've now got one. So it was planned to come in and it's now here. If you've seen it on our Facebook page, there is a little bit of a sad story behind this one, as this car is local to us, and when my father used to have his company in the area, we used to look after this car for the owner. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us and it's now in his wife's possession, and it's been sat on her driveway for between 12 and 18 months, and it's deteriorated quite badly. It's not in the best of shape. She had it serviced by some cowboy not long ago, who had no idea what they're doing with the Stag, and it really wasn't running right. It's not 100% now, but it is better. I know what I've got to do to fix it. We'll go on to that in a minute. The hood's all gone green. It's got some bodywork issues. It's got a little bit of welding on the left hand side underneath here to do. It's underneath the sill seam. It's starting to go. It's starting to break up on the seam. So we've got a bit of welding under there to do. And then we're going to repaint the tops of the front wings, the front panel, as these seams here are bubbling. And we're going to do the same on the back. We're going to do the tops of the back wings and the rear deck panel, again, as it's starting to bubble through here. So we're going to dig it all back out, rust treat it, because it isn't actually rotten. It just needs rust treating now before it gets to the point where it is rotten, as if it did rot there, you're in for a much bigger repair bill. So I've got a couple of bits of paintwork to do on it. It has got other bits around the whole car that need doing. There's bits all around it that do need quite a lot of attention, but if you're going to do that, you're in for a full repaint. And the woman that owns it doesn't want to go to that extent on it. She likes the car. She's got fond memories of the car, and she wants to get it so it's back on the road in a nice usable condition so she can enjoy it for the summer. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it a full safety inspection as it's been sat off the road for a little while. So we're going to go through all the brakes, check everything over, check all the suspension joints, basically like an MOT, but a more thorough MOT. Make sure it is fully roadworthy. Give the whole car, do the paintwork, and then give the whole car a really good thorough clean up, get the hood looking nice again, sort the wheels out so the wheels look more presentable, polish up all the chrome, and then we'll sort the issues out with the engine, which we'll go on to now. When I picked the car up, it was running quite rough, although it'd been serviced not long ago. It hasn't done any miles, but it was serviced about 2.5 months ago. I do know who by. I'm not going to mention them, as well. I'm not going to go and cause a lot of grief. But after what I've seen, I thought they were a reputable company, and after what I've seen, I wouldn't use them to service a bloody Tonka toy. So with the engine, the first thing I noticed, it was putting out a lot of browny black smoke. So that suggests it's running really rich, or it's got really old fuel in it. The fuel smelled very, very fresh, looked fresh, so I don't think it was the fuel. So I then thought, well, it's very slow and lethargic as well. Before I start looking at the carburetors, I'll check the ignition timing. Timing was pretty much correct. These run at 14 degrees before TDC. This was at 15, so 1 degree. I'll let that go, that's fine. So I started looking at the carburetors, and I took the tops off the dashpots and instantly noticed the diaphragm in this carburetor is extremely stretched. Dashpot in this carburetor had been replaced recently, and it was half-decent condition. Why you do that, I do not know. Replace them as a pair. If you've got twin carbs on something, whatever you do to one carburetor, do to the other carburetor. Treat it as a pair, or treat that as one carburetor. So just whatever you do to one, do to the other. It's just poor practice to do that, especially for the price of a diaphragm. They're dirt cheap. Why you do that, I don't know. It also had the wrong dashpot oil in it. It was what it looked like and smelt like ATF. I have heard of people doing that on performance engines where they're running SU carburetors to make dashpot lift slightly faster to allow more fuel in. This isn't a race engine, it's a completely standard Triumph Stag engine. So it had the wrong dashpot oil in it. The correct dashpot oil that I put in them is that, the SU carburetor damp oil. Never had an issue with it. Works perfectly every time. The other good one that you can put, other good oil you can put in a Stag for dashpots is just a little tiny drop of 1040. Standard 1040 oil in your dashpots, that will run pretty well as well. Don't ever put 3-in-1 oil in there or anything like that, because it will not run right, and it's a load of people. I've seen people do it loads of times. It's just not right, and it will not run as it should. So I haven't changed the diaphragm yet, but I have changed dashpot oil. Already it runs a lot better. It just needs the diaphragms changing for a decent pair. Then the carburetor's just given a little bit of a setup. It's also had the wrong spark plugs put in it. These Stags like to run they hate NGKs. These Stags should run Champion N12YC spark plugs. It actually states that in the original factory manuals, and when they have the sticker under the bonnet, which this one hasn't got, sorry, not on the bonnet, they have Stag has a sticker on there. It actually states that on the sticker as well. Now this has got NGK BP8 ESs in it, which isn't even the equivalent for the N12YC. The equivalent for the N12YC is a BP6. So why they're in there, I have no idea. They're completely wrong spark plugs, so we'll change them out and put Champions in it, so that it runs nicely. These Stags don't run as well on NGKs. People are going to disagree with that, I know. If they like NGKs, let them get on with it. But in the experience I've ever had with these, when the carburetors are set up correctly so the engine runs nice and it performs well, they don't like NGKs. They wet them up on when you fire them up in the morning with a little bit of choke. They misfire occasionally. They just don't like it. When you put the Champions in there, they're a far better spark plug. The engine runs really well, and Champions are easily readily available if you know where to look for them. So put Champions in a Stag, and you won't have an issue with it. And when I get the Champions, I will actually show you the difference between an NGK and a Champion, because the NGK plug, although it's supposed to be the equivalent, is, when you look carefully, there is a difference in them. You can see slight differences in the actual plug. So I'm not that clued up on the differences in the spark plugs. I know the different heat ranges and what to look for with the heat range, with how thick the insulator is and things like that. But when you've got the two spark plugs which are supposed to be the same, but one's NGK, one's Champion, and the two are different, I'm not that clued up why they're different. It obviously makes a difference on the Stags. So that's what I'm going to put in it. Again, I've never had an issue with them. Again, on Dolomite Sprints, put the correct Champions in it, they run a treat. They really do. That little blue Dolomite Sprint that we had in it on our Facebook page, when I set that up and put the correct Champion spark plugs in it, the owner was actually massively shocked at how well the car performed and how well it drove, and how reliable it was as well. It started every time, didn't miss a beat. He was so over the moon with it, it was unreal. So that's the Stag. Again, the people that serviced it, this is supposed to be recently serviced, the power steering belt was loose. Extremely loose, making the steering all notchy and horrible and squaring its arse off. So, yeah, again, I thought they were a reputable company, but I won't be going there, and I'm not going to mention names, who it is, I'm not on YouTube. People that I know, if they want to know, I will tell them, because I think then people do also use them as well. If they want to know, I'll let them know who it is, but I'm not going to broadcast it over the internet, as they should be ashamed of what they've done. I think they let their apprentice do it. So even then, I think the apprentice should have done a better job. But it is what it is. Keeps me busy. It's things like this as well. Fuel filter. If you come in and have a look at the fuel filter, they've put a new fuel filter on it. It's not fitted correctly. It's barely holding on the end of the filter. They've gone through the hassle of loosening it off and taking the old filter out, and then they've put the old one in there like that. When they turn the new one back in like that, slide it back in so it's in the middle, how it should be. It's not a big job, especially when you've already got it loose. It's little stuff like that which a professional company should not be doing. So watch out, guys, if you have any work done by people, make sure they know what they're doing, because that surprised me, knowing who it was. But hey ho, it's what it was. But that's what we've been up to this week. We're going to press on with the Wolseley. Got to order a few parts for this, and may have a little bit of time this week to maybe get the welding done. Hopefully I will, actually, thinking about it. Hopefully I'll get the welding done on this week. So that then just leaves a little bit of paintwork to do and mechanical on the engine. But keep an eye on our Facebook page, as we'll put regular updates of these cars on there, especially of their progression, as we do with all of the vehicles that we have in. We give each vehicle its own little profile on our Facebook page, so people can click on the album and see their own car going through the process. So yeah, we'll press on with the Wolseley, and you'll notice some big changes in that over the next week or so. And if you need any more work, if you need any work doing, please contact us. When we get onto this, when we go through the carburetors and things like that, we'll do a video on the carburetors and setting the engine up, as I'm sure that people are like that. But I can't really think of anything else this week. Dolomite is on hold at the moment, as well, it's my car, and now I'm doing this full time out, I've actually got time to get on it at the moment. The Spitfire hasn't changed since last week, since we've got the front wing on it, as that's a long term project. It's just one of them ones you do a little bit on it when you've got a spare hour in here and there at the moment, until we get it to the point where we're not at the body of the chassis. Then we'll be on that quite a lot. Work we have got coming in, well, I say coming in, that we're going to go and look at very shortly. We've got a 1969 Mercedes saloon. I can't remember what model it is. No, it's gone. It's quite a big Mercedes saloon. That's got issues with rot on the bulkhead. Apart from that, the cars are quite nice. I've seen the photographs of it. It looks quite a nice car. But it's got a little bit of rot on the bulkhead around the throttle pedal linkages, and it's making the throttle stick open. But unfortunately, from the photographs that I've seen and where it is, it looks quite an involved job to sort it out. Hopefully it won't be too involved, but I think it may be. That's why I've arranged with the customer to go and look at it, because I can't do it. Can't give it a price over the phone on photographs. Not on that. You have to excuse the runny nose and the cold. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. So we've got that coming in. We've got another Wolseley Land Crab coming in as well. That one's I think that's 2.26 cylinder. That one. It's got the 2.26 cylinder, and it's got issues with the brakes and a bit of welding still on it. So we are very, very busy with what we've got in. So if you do want any work doing, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll try and get you booked in. But if you're expecting to get the car in and get it back very, very quickly, unfortunately there is a queue at the moment. So the sooner you contact us to get it in, the sooner we can get it booked in, unfortunately. But first come, first served. If it is a really quick job, quick in and out service sort of thing, an inspection, we can fit that in. It's only a few hours work to do it. But anything more than that, you will have to join the queue. So on that note, please like and subscribe, and keep an eye out on our Facebook page for regular updates on the vehicles, and we will see you next week.